Todd, I have this I guess it's a recurrent thought that has been coming up more and more lately related to friends and friendship and how things should be when you have friends and how real friends look like versus the not non-real friends. So I think I want to do the work on somebody specifically to like put me in that position and have like a better perspective of how things are. And I should feel like the statement is she should be a real friend. I think it's the one that kind of like hits the most.
Okay, you should be a real friend. And do you have a specific situation to anchor in when you're thinking about that?
Yes, like she was talking to us over the phone and she was coming to the house, and then I have immediately this thought of things from the past and like in my mind how she was not a good friend before, so that means that she's not a real friend. So I'm having this battle like of thoughts of like, of course, like trying to figure out and make that as a true statement for me, like, oh, but she didn't call, so she's not your real friend, or she didn't react this way when you said something, so she's not your real friend. So,
Okay, yeah, great. So in that situation, your friend is coming over, and you're talking, and you're remembering when she wasn't a friend before. She didn't call. She didn't do some things. So she should be a real friend. Is that true?
yes.
And can you absolutely know it's true? She should be a real friend.
Yes.
How do you react? What happens when you think that she should be a real friend in this situation?
I feel frustrated. I My hand starts sweating right away. I feel like I want to avoid the situation completely and just like not have her come over. I feel like I just want to stop talking to her. Like I want to push her away. And I see myself like stock. Like I put it as an example of like a lot of people that I thought were my friends and then at the end were not. So I put her in that same place where with all these examples of different things from the past where there was no communication, or there was just communication but from her side and not my side as much. So it felt like a one-way friendship kind of. I feel like stock in life in terms of like building those relationships that takes years, and then you feel like it was all for nothing. Like I feel like I wasted a lot of time, energy. I feel like betrayed in a way. I feel like I gave it all and then she just didn't do the same. I feel like used. Yeah, I feel like used. Like I was just there for her, but she was never really there for me. So I question like her intentions and my intentions of being there as well. I feel like it's everything is like blurry at the same time. It's just like all the communication and the situations and like the time we spend and like all the time that was invested into building that friendship was like, yeah, it's like kind of like a wasted time in a way. And I just feel lost because I don't understand the reason why. What's the reason behind it, or why it is the way I think it is and the way I feel. So I just get lost in all those thoughts with no way out.
So how do you treat her as you're, she's thinking of coming over? How do you treat her when you think she should be a real friend?
As somebody who betrayed me, like somebody I put my trust in, and I was confident that was a real friend, but then I don't feel it that way. And it's like, I feel again that thing of one sided friendship comes back. Like I was her friend, but she was not my friend in a way. So I feel like she wanted something from me. So there was like an intention behind it when I had no intention at all, just being her friend, being her friend. Yeah.
Does anything show up in your voice or in the way that you're speaking or anything in what you do or don't do when you think she should be a real friend?
Yeah, I definitely see how I get more emotional, like in my voice. Like I can feel that I'm tense and I'm not as friendly in my tone of voice as I usually am. Yeah, and I feel like I get defensive right away, like just waiting to get hit by something or something like that. It's just like waiting for something to happen, basically, not
Yeah.
just the regular relaxed person or something.
Okay. So who would you be without the thought that she should be a real friend when she calls you and you're talking, she's thinking of coming over? Who would you be without this story? She should be a real friend without this thought.
I would be more open, not as judgmental in my head. I can see that she actually reached out to come to the house. So it's not that it's just me doing everything and she's just there. Like I feel a little bit of a less tension when I think about that one-sided friendship. Like I see that she's doing something, so that that drops the case of me thinking that, oh, I'm just the only one doing something in the relationship. I feel curious about the what we're going to talk about because it has been a while since we talk. So I'm curious about how her life is going and what the new things are, how life is coming up from her for her. And yeah, I feel like I'm more open and I'm not building like stories in my head, just like letting things be and just listening to her voice, listening that she wants to come over, and you can hear like her tone of voice is actually a nice tone of voice. It's not like somebody that is compromised and wants to do something, that feels that has to do something, or
Mm.
anything like that. It's like a warm tone of voice that she wants to come and wants to talk to us. So hmm. Yeah, that's something that I totally missed.
And when you look back at those past times when you were thinking before that she wasn't a good friend, when you see those old images, who would you be without the thought she should be a real friend?
I see that I'm putting myself in a position to be there for her. It's not that she's taking over just like control of the friendship and just talking about her all the time or any of that. I'm the one that is like open in that position to listen to her because she has something to say, and I want to listen to her. So it's not that I'm being forced to do that. And also, I just noticed that I don't know what she's thinking in terms of like their relationship or like the way it's working or anything. I'm just thinking in my head that that's what she's thinking and that's what she's talking, and but I
Mm.
don't know for sure cuz I don't know, she didn't say any of that. Hmm. And I can also see like examples of she asking questions and asking how I was doing and things that I missed before too. I was just focusing on her not being a real friend, that I was not even paying attention to those, or they got blurred in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, how would you turn the thought around? She should be a real friend.
I should be a real friend, or she shouldn't be a real friend. That'll be the first one. She shouldn't be a real friend.
Okay. Wherever you'd like to go. Mm-hmm.
Well, she shouldn't be a real friend because I don't even know if I have like the correct definition of a friend to begin with. And it's weird because it makes sense. It feels like I am expecting everyone to do the same thing as I do, like go all in and like be there for everyone at any time. But one, not everybody is the same, and two, I don't even know if that's healthy anyway to to be to be that good of a friend. Yeah. And she shouldn't be because like going back to the same thing, she's the friend that she is. Like if we don't even put like good or bad, she's just the way it is, and I'm just like pre- like I'm expecting her to be different in that relationship than what she is. And that's why I'm getting disappointed because she's not putting the effort I think she should put in the relationship. So she shouldn't do that because that's just not her.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. Interesting. You want you were wanting her to be the way you are instead of the way
Right.
she is. Yeah, interesting. Hmm. She shouldn't be a real friend according to your definition of what a real friend is.
Right. It's like following the guidelines or something of being a real friend.
Yep.
Doesn't even make sense when you say it out loud. Checking the boxes. Oh, did you say hide in the morning or something? Then
And then you get a grade at the end. Oh, sorry, you were at 72%. That's not a passing grade.
wow, that's interesting. Hmm.
She shouldn't be a real friend. What is it? How does it help you that she's not the friend that you were expecting her to be? How is it? Does it serve you in any way?
Well, it definitely helps me, like, in a way, get out of a bubble, of my bubble, and my expectations as a friendship, and like see, oh, there's somebody that can be your friend, but then you may not feel he is fully your friend, but still your friend, just not following that same guidelines that you talked about. So, and that doesn't mean that they're not, like in this case, she's not my friend just because she's not acting the way I think she
Yeah,
should act. Hmm.
that's cool. Yeah, it leaves open the possibility for many different kinds of friendships, like some that
Yeah.
are you're sharing a lot of things and doing a lot of things together, and some where it's very occasional or more distant in a
Mhm.
way, but they have different flavors of friendship.
Yeah. That extends, like, also, I feel like my knowledge about friendships. Like, I feel it's so closed and it's so up to those same expectations that, like, if I look at it that way, it's like, oh, there's some other things out there that I'm not seeing or I'm just discarding because they're not the way I think they should be.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It reminds me of some work I did a few years ago on wanting like kind of intimate, like to have friends close that you can really share. And and I did the work on that and kind of turned it around. And it opened me up to suddenly, after doing that work, I realized all these people that I didn't call friends, I thought they were not friends. Suddenly I have a million friends. They're just on different kinds of connections, not just I think I was running on like, I want you to be my best friend kind of thing. And like, that's the
Hmm.
only kind of friendship. And yeah, so I'm relating to what you're saying. Thank you. Yeah.
That's interesting. That makes me think about that same thing about, like, seeing every friendship as I wanted to be like my best friend. So that kind of makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I miss the friendship that's there, which is actually a beautiful thing. Some people, it's just a hi once in a while. We never talk, but it's just a, how you doing kind of things. And
Yeah.
it, and it's a friendship. Right? Suddenly everything is a friendship. Really, it's a new definition of it instead of the one that you have with the checklist. Have to call, have to talk, have
Right.
to do. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so is there another turnaround? She should be a real friend.
I should be a real friend. That one feels like really true as well. because instead of just like locking my door and like in my mind, just like closing the door and just like leave it locked, I could just talk to her and tell her how I feel. And I'm not doing that. So, yeah, that's a way.
Yeah.
Very clear way.
I should be a real friend. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not following my those same guidelines that I'm talking about. I'm missing some of those too. So
Right.
I'm
Exactly.
not being a real friend.
And if it doesn't feel right to follow those guidelines, then that's okay too. Then you can understand that she also doesn't follow those guidelines.
Hmm.
But
Right.
if I do want it, then I can follow them more, right? Depending on what I want.
And that makes me understand even more. Like, if I'm not doing it and I'm putting like according to me 100%, then what am I expecting?
Yeah,
It's unreal.
yeah. It's like the story in the mind is that I'm giving 100%, but the reality is I'm not giving 100%. My door's closed. I'm waiting for her. I'm not I'm not sharing whatever it is. So my story is I'm the one only giving, and but in reality I'm maybe not giving as much as I think I am.
Hmm. Yeah. And that makes me think also about how to, like, the mind stops me from doing something, like from reaching out or talking to her, just because I'm locked in that feeling and the thoughts of like, oh, she's not being a real friend. So I'm not going to call her. I'm just going to wait for her to do it. That way she will improve a little bit on my guidelines to be a
Yeah.
real friend if she
Right.
does. And then if
Yeah.
she doesn't, then she's failing even more.
Right.
So,
So the whole thing is dependent on her. If she
hmm,
improves, then you can improve. If she doesn't improve, then you can't. So you're totally waiting for her instead of following what is natural for you, whatever that is, whether it's to become closer or not to become closer. You're waiting for her instead of for you.
right. And I can see more options now, not just she is or is not. And that's the only way. That's the way I was looking at it before.
Right. Black or white. Hmm. She's either
Yeah.
my friend, my best friend that checks all the boxes, or not a friend at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, just like you said, like I feel like I have a lot more friends than what I thought I did.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
I just had to change the definition of what a real friend is.
Right.
So there's one more turnaround. Instead of she should be a real friend, I should be a real friend to me, to myself.
Hmm. That one makes a lot of sense too. Because I'm not letting me do what I feel like I should do, like call her and talk to her about it. I'm just like my mind is not letting me do that, so I'm not being a real friend with myself. I'm just letting the thought dictate what I'm going to do, which is nothing, and just wait for the other person to do something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You're, like if a friend is someone who listens to the other person, then if I'm going to be friends with myself. I have to listen to myself.
Right. Listen, which is something that often you don't really do. It's just like jump into conclusions right away.
Hmm.
But if I listen to myself, I have the option and I can decide what I want to do. Wow, that feels really good.
Yeah, should be a
Feels like
real
in a
friend.
weird way, it's like in a weird way, I was like afraid or like just scared of being disappointed, like disappoint myself by doing something that I wanted to do. Hmm.
Yeah, and then it makes it. Then it's easy. The mind always does this. Just make it. Put the responsibility on the other person, and then say, "Poor me, I didn't get it what I wanted," instead
Yeah.
of actually going and taking the steps to do it.
Yeah. And then I can feel the resistance of me like trying, okay, I'm going to call, but then it's like, oh, but then that person is not your real friend if you have to call them. It's like
So, so that's a good underlying belief. If I have to call them, then they're not really my friend.
Mm, yep,
Yeah,
it's a good one.
exactly. So there may be layers to this, but this is a great start. And then there may be other thoughts that are connected. I, like, yeah, like that one. If I have to call them, then it's not really my friend.
Hmm.
What I love about this turnaround to the self, it also reminds me of my work from a few years ago, is that I could be the one person that could check all the boxes on my ideal friends list. First of all, I spend all my time together with myself.
Right.
I, I, I'm just completely there for myself. I'm interested in myself, and so on and so forth. So that one leaves me in a really secure place that no matter what happens with all the other friends on the spectrum from really close to not very close, there's always one that's super close, more close than anyone, and is always there for me, um, or
Hmm.
can be always there for me. So I should be a real friend to myself. That gives me a nice position. And then I can enjoy the waves of friendship, however they come with other people. And I'm not dependent on them to be super close or do it right or anything like that.
That's really cool. Thank you.